What's up guys, welcome to Voicey here, this is your host, Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/EntitledParents. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story is called Halloween Tradition Ruined by Entitled Parent and Entitled Kid. This happened over 10 years ago, so some of the dialogue may not be word for word, but it was the actions that are key to the story. Me and my wife don't have any children. We were not able to have any due to health reasons, but we used to live in a suburb which had many families with small children. What we would do each year is go all out on Halloween for the local children. It is a way we give back to our community and have fun while doing it. We probably have enough Halloween decorations and animatronics to supply a couple haunted houses with stuff left over. So we try to do something every year for the kids and dress up to hand out candy. It is our favorite holiday. Each year we would divide the decorations. In the backyard we had strobes, scary music, fog machines, several animatronics, and it was pretty cool but intimidating to some of the smaller children. Some kids would cry out of fear if their parents suggested going through the backyard to get candy. In the front yard we had some more tame decorations, and my wife was dressed up handing out candy. In the backyard, I had a huge candy dish set up, but I was hidden out of sight controlling some of the effects and animatronics. This year we had 20 pounds of candy, 4 5-pound bags, split between the front yard and the backyard. After the first year of setting up the elaborate displays, our house became the must-see attraction on Halloween, and we learned very quickly that it is always better to have too much candy than too little. We would do something extra special for the kids that were first to show up. One year it was king-sized candy bars for the first 10 kids, another year we gave candy and $1 coins. This year we were feeling generous, so we decided $5 to the first 10 kids, which was split between the front yard and back. My wife had 5 $5 bills she handed out, and I had 5. I chose to lay out 5 regular-sized candy bars with $5 bills taped to each one, and set them up in front of the huge bowl of candy which had both 5-pound bags emptied into it. Now, I should point out that we never had any issues in previous years. I always used the honor system in the backyard, allowing the kids to get their own candy, and my wife would hand it out. The kids had a great time and were always respectful. We actually garnered a lot of thanks from our neighbors for going all out for the kids. The kids who enjoyed it and would go out of their way to do nice things for us in return, such as shoveling our driveway, cutting our grass, etc. Okay, back to the story. This particular year, it had gotten dark before the kids started trick-or-treating, so I took advantage of the darkness with some of the more stealthy animatronics, ones that moved but were hard to see because they were not lighted, like snakes, spiders, and bats. From the sidewalk, kids that were not scared or wanted to be scared would walk down a small path around a few trees where I had let the grass grow close to knee-high, which helped camouflage the strobe lights and fog machines. I would have a few small outdoor speakers playing some kind of creepy or scary sounds or music as the kids would walk down the path to a clearing in front of our shed where we had this huge creepy-looking wicker chair with a motion-triggered zombie that sat in it. You would have to pass in front of the zombie to get to the table, which had the candy and a sign stating that we use the honor system, please take 1 piece of candy. Well, the first kid showed up, a boy about 8 or 9 years old, his 4 or 5-year-old sister with their mom. It was not uncommon for kids to be accompanied by their mom or dad if they dared to go into the backyard. Both kids took one look down the dark path and chose to go to the front yard for candy. This continued for about 10 minutes before a kid about 13 or 14 gathered up the courage to come down through the backyard. Yes, I scared the crap out of him, but when he made it to the table, he just stood there. I wasn't sure if he was still shook up from the zombie jumping up because he just stood at the table for a moment, afraid to take any candy. This happens a lot too, because they think something will grab them if they touch the candy. One year we used the candy bowl with the hidden hand that would do just that, but not this year. I set down the controls and stepped out from the shadows, which scared him again. I was wearing a long black cloak and black gloves and skeleton face makeup to assure him that he could take one of the $5 candy bars. He grabbed it and quickly ran back up the path to what I guess was a younger brother who had received candy from the front door. Me and my wife had a system to communicate when someone would take one of the $5 candy bars, so we could make sure no one would go to the backyard and then try to go to the front yard. I would flip the floodlights on the corner of the house, which she could see. We had a sign along our wooden fence that pointed out that you could choose the scary path or the less frightening front door, so parents didn't have to take small kids into the backyard and leave with them crying from being scared. It was probably 5 minutes before 2 kids that looked about 10 or 12 years old came through the backyard together. They walked slowly, teasing each other along the way, jumping and screaming out of fear occasionally when one of the bats or spiders or other animatronics were activated by their proximity or motion. They eventually made it to the candy table, after screaming when the zombie lurched forward as they walked past it, but each took $5 bars. This left me with 2 more to give out, and then I would be on the normal fun-sized Halloween candy. 5 pounds of Snickers, Twix, Milky Way, 3 Musketeers, and Hershey's. The next group I could see was 2 smaller kids, around 3 to 5 years old, with an obese kid who looked 14 or 15, accompanied by Entitled Mom. The 2 little ones made their way to the front porch after Entitled Child motioned for them to go get candy. The Entitled Mom and Entitled Child decided to walk down the path into the backyard together. One of the first things I hear wasn't a startled scream, but the stuck-up bench voice of Entitled Mom.
What a horrible waste of money! This is ridiculous!
It was shrill and snide sounding. What she said angered me a bit, but I didn't want to ruin it for her kids, so I rushed to reset the zombie and to take cover. Now, Entitled Mom made sure she was speaking loudly enough so that anyone in the backyard could hear.
This isn't something for kids, this is sick!
I assumed it was a front to make herself not sound scared. I could see she had a death grip on Entitled Child's shoulder as they walked down the path. They both screamed as one of the bats had swooped down at them. They ran on a wire when triggered, and one could come at you from the left and one from the right. Entitled Child sounded like he was getting shook up pretty good because he was whining, not saying anything, just this unsteady whine, which is odd for an older kid. Entitled Mom decided to chime in again, quite angrily.
These people are sick! We do not need this in our neighborhood! Just plain sick!
It was quiet again until Entitled Child screamed again when he had triggered one of the snakes in the grass. I could hear him trying to fight back tears at this point, like a bumbling, whimpering cry, but they pressed on.
I'll take care of this. Just you watch.
Now, I was assuming this was a parent that was trying to reassure their frightened kid, although he was a teenager. So I didn't think much about her comments at that moment. I was too busy thinking in my head where I would scare them. In retrospect, I wish I had paid attention better and realized it was an Entitled Mom up to no good. I stood behind the shed, waiting silently for the zombie to trigger. When it was triggered, it lurched forward while making an angry moan. It should have happened within a minute of the snake. After a minute and a half, I peeked around the shed to see the Entitled Mom and Entitled Child waddling. Their size prevented them from being able to run towards the entrance. It only took me a second to notice they had stolen all of the candy that was on the table and the 2 $5 candy bars. I was pissed. I started running after them. I'm a tall guy and very fast on my feet. I got about 3 good strides in before I tripped over the wires. What the? I looked down and saw that Entitled Mom had cut the wires on the animatronic bats. When I looked up again, I could see her gathering her 2 little ones and hurrying them to a car with Entitled Child. I was seething at this point. Her car was parked in front of my next door neighbor's house. I was at full speed as the car started and she stomped on the gas as I punched her passenger window, where her fat, Entitled Child was holding the full candy bowl with a huge grin on his tear-streaked face. The window didn't break, it only made Entitled Mom recklessly speed out of the parking spot, with no regard for the kids that were trick-or-treating all over the neighborhood. Several parents and neighbors came up and asked me what was going on. I explained what they had stolen. Thankfully, one of the parents had gotten the license plate number before she got off our street. I was ticked, but realized that we had other kids that wanted to visit. I closed the gate and explained to my wife what had happened. We decided to split the front door candy so we could at least pass out candy in the backyard, allowing other kids to enjoy our haunt. When I went back there to fix what Entitled Mom had broken, I realized that she had cut power cords as well. Frickin' bench! I took the candy back to my wife at the front door, knowing it would take me a while to fix the damage. I quickly began making repairs and adjustments. About 5 minutes later, the police had shown up, thanks to a neighbor that had called them. They took a description of the car and plates while I filed a report about the incident. By the time I had finished with the police, the 2-hour trick-or-treating had ended. My wife had about a half a bowl of candy left, and she said she might have seen about 100 kids. I had seen 3 and 2 thieves who ruined the rest of the night for the other children that wanted to attend. We had considered holding over for another night and allowing kids to come again, but unfortunately the weather had gotten cold and very rainy, which plays hell on our animatronics. It was a few days before the cops had located Entitled Mom. She lived almost 30 miles away and brought our kids to my neighborhood because they had heard the rumors about our mini haunt. She and her son were charged with destruction of property, vandalism, and criminal mischief. Apparently, several cops' kids were supposed to attend but never got the chance after Entitled Mom and Entitled Child, which angered several officers. Entitled Child was charged as a minor. The police also recommended I also file a lawsuit in civil court for the damages, which I gladly did. The fallout. In court, Entitled Mom and Entitled Child tried to claim that I was bringing Satanism into the community, a community she didn't live in, and that she felt that she had to do something. They were as snide as ever in court. Entitled Mom was found guilty on destruction of property and vandalism, but not criminal mischief. She got 6 months in county jail. Entitled Child was removed from her home and spent the next 2 years in juvenile detention. Apparently, this was not the first time he was in trouble. The court never elaborated on his previous crime due to him being a minor. As for the civil lawsuit, I won and she was ordered to pay me $4,000 in damages plus another $6,000 in lawyer fees. The neighbor across the street is an attorney and represented me. We continued our haunt for 2 more years until we moved out to the rural area we live in now. We don't get trick-or-treating kids because the nearest house to ours is about a quarter mile away. It's always a matter of time before someone ruins something nice for people. There these people are just trying to do something cool for their community, and these foreigners, they come out of nowhere and just ruin it for people. What a jerk family, you know? However, we did get that sweet legal justice, which is always nice to see. This story's called Entitled Kid Gets Instant Karma Slapped in the Back of His Face. Literally. I'm a 13-year-old male, and English is my first language, and I'm on mobile. Okay, let's go! So a little bit of backstory. I like to go to the skate park with my friends every once in a while to ride my scooter. Skaters, please don't hate me! Because the community is really nice and is pretty fun overall. Really awesome stuff. My specific wheels, important later, are called Honey Cores. They are really good, but not really built to last that long. And I was waiting for it to dehub soon. Dehub is for the rubber of the wheel to get ripped off. Now let's get to the story. I was riding a part of the skate park so that you would end up at the same place every time. That place is a good place to perfect your tricks. Here enters Entitled Mom and Entitled Kid. Entitled Kid looked to be around 8 to 10 years old.
Look, Mom, his scooter is rainbow. Yeah, you wanna try? Yeah. Hey, can you let my son try your scooter?
Sorry, but I think my scooter wheel will break soon.
Looks fine to me.
It already feels loose. By that time, it was already my turn, so I do my thing. But as I said earlier, it ends up in the same place.
Please, Mom! You seem to ride it fine.
Now I was out of excuses. But I'm wearing a helmet and Entitled Kid isn't.
Don't teach me how to take care of my own child. Please!
Then it was my turn again. But this time, I failed what I was trying, so my scooter was on the floor, but away from me. Entitled Kid takes my scooter and starts riding away from me.
Hey!
He ignores me. Entitled Mom had a smirk on her face now. Entitled Kid started trying power slides, basically a drift. Luckily, he wasn't strong enough and his power slides were only a few inches long. I didn't want my wheels to dehub. I wasn't chasing him though, because he had to come back to his mom sometime. But then my luck ran out, and Entitled Kid did a 90-degree power slide, clockwise, and started falling backwards. He hit his head on the hard concrete floor.
Oh no!
I started running to see if Entitled Kid was okay. Just kidding, I went to see if my wheel had dehubbed. It had. I brought my scooter to my bag and sat down. I felt kinda sad since I bought it with my pocket money.
Why didn't you help up Entitled Kid?
By then, I just picked up my headphones and started listening to XXXTentacion because that's what my mood was. Luckily, my friends were nice enough to all leave the skate park together, and we went to one of their houses, so the fun didn't stop that day. So that was my first, and hopefully last, encounter with an entitled mom. Okay, this was really well written for a 13-year-old, because usually when a 13-year-old writes a Reddit post, it's horrible. I'm just being honest. But this was good, and it was funny. You need to write more. Okay, seriously, this guy was good, despite him being a scooter kid. Yes, I have a prejudice against scooter kids because They are indeed typically very much annoying. Skater gang, rise up! I'm kidding, I haven't skated in like 4 years maybe. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.